Alright, before this video starts, I just want to say I know I've been gone for over a year. I have some content I'm going to be releasing very soon in a whole life update video, but I'll save that for another time. So on Friday, Lil Uzi Vert released his highly anticipated album Pink Tape. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the response to this album has been insane with how diverse the opinions on it are. I'm gonna start by reading some of the responses from the album because a lot of them are either dick riding or just simply unhinged. Been listening to Lil Uzi since he came out, and this album is easily his worst. Not hating, and I don't mind it being something different and new, but the straight rockstar theme it had kinda took me out of it. It doesn't even sound like rap for real, and some of the songs he's just repeating himself and just screaming. Bro, it's a whole rock and roll album of songs from our teens. Bro remade Chop Suey by System of a Down. That shit was trash. I don't see how that was creative. He just redid songs we already love in pop culture. That's a cop-out. He didn't deliver if you ask me. Had pretty low expectations when I first saw it be 26 tracks. The intro track is fire, and maybe one or two other tracks I'd take. It's pretty fucking crazy that only 2 to 3 tracks out of 26 are any good. So when it first dropped, these were all of the comments that I saw. It was just strictly people hating on the album. They were calling it trash, calling it mid, calling it the worst album Uzi had ever created. But then 2 days later, I saw a wave of support, especially from Uzi's core community, that completely embraced the album and started to love it. Like these. This album is amazing. I don't care. He was always showing y'all that he is a full rock star, and also showing y'all he is not scared to do something new, even if people think it's weird. Everyone should know by now, Uzi is always going to do his own thing. I think this album is fantastic. Didn't enjoy Nakamura or CS, but respect the experimentation. Love Suicide Doors, Fire Alarmed, Amp, X2, and Days Come and Go. Not perfect, but it's definitely well produced and high effort. I love the album. It was fun and lighthearted. Uzi has showed us time and time again he can deliver popular music. This album was for Uzi. A lot of people want slow and catchy shit, but Uzi is telling us in this album that they doesn't want to be boxed in, from the way they dress and express themselves to the music they create. So then I started getting confused. I was like, okay, so some people like the album, some people don't. And then I saw the music critics.
Hi everyone, Cool Anthony Ranch Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd.
So before I go in on how the critics reacted to this album, I just want to say that I love watching music reviews and people that are very and highly critical of music. All these other people that do well thought out music reviews, because frankly, I'm a fan of almost all of them. But I think a lot of the consensus of this album is wrong, and I'm gonna explain why. So I want to use Shawns C's video on this, and if you haven't seen this already, I would go ahead and check it out, because I think he brings up a lot of criticisms, and I think he is a perfect example of somebody who was excited for the album and severely disappointed. Whereas me, on the other hand, I was excited for the album, and the album matched my excitement and matched my standards for the album.
I'm feeling like a lack of authentic drive for this album so far, because it seems so intentional and calculated and purposeful for certain reasons. Like in the beginning, I'm feeling like, all right, this is for a live show. Then there's another part where I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be a pop song. Then another track, I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be for like the World Cup or soccer or some type of sports event. It's like, where is the genuine want to create music just because you want to make it and not because you need a placeholder for this event or for this thing or for this purpose? Like, I get what you're saying on one hand, but at the same time, I'm sitting back thinking to myself, is there any song here, and I know I'm only halfway through, is there any song here so far that you just put out because Uzi, I'm only making this because I felt inspired to make this, and that was it?
Shawns C brought up this point in his video, which I think is the reason why I enjoy it so much. I think the overall vibe of Pink Tape is a lot of different sounds compressed into one album, and because everyone else is picking up on that, I think that was the goal of the album in the first place. So I'm going to go ahead and break down the album how I perceived it after listening to it multiple times. I think I've listened to the full album 6 times through, and I've listened to individual songs. So the first 6 songs are obviously Flooded the Face, Suicide Doors, A, Crush 'Em, Amped, and X2. These are the really heavy rage songs. He performed all of these at Rolling Loud in the Netherlands just recently after the album was released. So these are all the turn up crowd type of songs. Then he goes into his singing melodic / rap songs with Died and Came Back. Spin Again is a really heavy, like, monotone singing song, kind of like a vibed out space theme. I Gotta is more of like a rap walkout bouncy type of song, more of like the fun Uzi that we don't get to see that often anymore. Endless Fashion, that EA type of sound. He has Mama I'm Sorry, which is kind of like a deep slash singing track where he goes in depth about certain stuff. All Alone is classic EA Uzi. Then he switches into the rock stuff with Nakamura kind of leading into that. Just Wanna Rock obviously being like its own standalone off the album. It doesn't really fit in here, but I see why he put it here. Fire Alarm, super experimental. Then you have the 2 big rock songs on the album, minus the last one. These ones are more just almost, I don't want to say throwaways, but they kind of gave me throwaway vibes. Not this one. These are just out of place songs that I feel like could have gone up here with the other singing songs, but I think he wanted to space the album out a little bit more. And obviously you have Rehab, The End, which is the metal outro song, which is filled with the anime stuff, and then the 3 bonus tracks. So I see where Shawn is coming from and why he views the album in the way that he does and why he was disappointed, because it feels like Uzi is all over the place and he doesn't stick to a consistent theme. But I think that is the theme of the album. But this has all the sides of Uzi that fans like, and that's why I see such a difference between the actual hardcore Uzi fans and the more casual listeners of Uzi. The only other complaint I see about the album is the runtimes, and I'm not gonna lie, the 4-minute songs back to back is a little excessive. He obviously could have cut these a little short, but I feel like that's part of what the culture is now, is we want shorter songs, we want to move on to the next song, we want shorter projects. We don't like these long drawn out songs because we feel like they're just repeating themselves. Overall, in my opinion, I think Pink Tape was phenomenal. I love the production on it. I love the sounds. The only song I didn't really care for was CS. Even the Werewolf Bring Me the Horizon song was really good. Uzi could have been more prevalent on it and could have been played more of a role on it. But overall, I thought the album was really good. And I just think that it needs time to grow on people at the end of the day. My closing thoughts on the whole thing, obviously shout out to Shawns C, because his video and his review on it made me want to make this, because I disagreed with a lot of the points. And I disagreed with a lot of his opinions on the album. But obviously, music is subjective at the end of the day. So go ahead and show his video some love. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this little opinion piece / music review. And I'll see y'all in another year. I know I'm not nothing good. I know I'm misunderstood.